we'll just dive right into it. So I think in Zoe's invitation, everyone saw some of the things that we'll cover today. So those include things like sex characteristics, and then we'll also get to gender identity and expression, and then we'll get to sexual orientation and behavior. Then we will finish off with coming out and disclosure. So I think if there are no questions, we'll just go right into the first one, which is sex characteristics. So I usually throw this into a room. So I'm going to throw it to everyone. Like I said, I want it to be interactive. So ask questions as we go, but I'll also throw some questions. So the first one there says, what is the difference between sex and gender? Do you think that they're the same? So maybe we'll start with those two. Does anyone want to give it a bash? What do you think that sex and gender are the same? What do you think the differences are?
I can go.
Yes, please. Please just say your name. Oh, it says, okay, Sfiso. Yes, and your preferred pronoun.
Yes, Sfiso, preferred pronoun, he's, him, he.
Okay, thank you.
So with sex, it's more of a biological thing. And then when we go to gender, that's like the orientation. That's I could say what an individual relates with the most, or what they're comfortable with. Yeah, that's my idea or my contribution.
Okay, thank you so much, Fiso, for that. Yeah, I think you got the gist of it. Does anyone want to add or subtract from what Fiso has just said? Okay, so Fiso, you are definitely correct. I beg your pardon?
Ask a question. Queen speaking, yes. Can I ask a question?
Yes, Queen.
Would gender be related to like your gender norms and societal beliefs in terms of what males should act like and what females should act like? Would that be related to that anyhow?
Yes, definitely. So it is, so gender is definitely the social construct of it. So I'll unpack it for you just now, but thank you so much for that, Queen. So with sex, right? Sex is biology. I think Sfiso did say that it's what you're biologically born with. So sex is not anything that you choose at birth. So some people are born male, some are born female. And so basically sex is between your legs. It's what you find between your legs. So when we say somebody is born female, it means that between their legs, there was a vulva, or what we would call a vagina in society. And then when somebody is born male, between their legs, we will find what we call a penis or a testes. And with that, there's then when we come to gender, then from sex, we would say that some people, when people are born with a penis or with testes, then we say that they're a boy. We would say that, so that's gender, right? So the sex is male, female, and then the gender would then be boy, girl, man, or woman. But we'll get to gender a little bit. I want to just unpack sex a little bit more. So with sex, sometimes it's not only what's between your legs that we consider. We also look at your chromosomes. We also look at the hormones that you have, and we also look at your other genetic makeup. So, for example, when we say somebody is female, actually, I'll throw it out again as a question. What hormone do females have? Or when we say somebody is female, what is the hormone that makes females grow breasts, or to have smoother skin, or to have the features and characteristics that you would say somebody is female? What hormone determines all those features, or helps with the development of all those features? Does anyone want to give it a try? Okay, so Okay. Do you want to give it a try?
Yeah, okay, I'll try. It's Azande Sikio, pronounced she, her.
Yeah,
So
thanks,
I'll say the chromosomes will be the XY and the hormone is estrogen, I'm guessing.
That's correct, yes. Your guess is definitely correct. And does anyone want to try the hormone that determines somebody who's a male, the hormone that makes males develop beard or facial hair, the muscle tone, the deep voice? What hormone is that in males?
Testosterone.
That's correct. Thanks. It's Keston.
Yes.
Yes, thanks, Keston. Okay, so it's testosterone and it's for males, and then it's estrogen for females. However, so this is where it gets a little bit interesting, right? However, that does not mean that males do not have any estrogen, and it does not mean that females do not have testosterone. We all have a little bit of both. We all have a dominant one and one that is a little bit lower. So all females would have testosterone and all males would have estrogen. If, for example, you find that somebody who was born female, they've got a vulva in between their legs, and they're born female and they grow up and they go through tests in the future maybe, or they've got a deeper voice or they start having facial hair, do you know what that person would be called? Does anyone want to give that a try? What would we call somebody who was born female, let's say with a vulva, but has more testosterone than the usual level of testosterone in females? Because like I said, everybody has a little bit of both. And in females, in somebody who was born female, it is usually the estrogen that's higher than the testosterone. But it does happen that you find a female who has higher testosterone. Does anyone know, or a male who has more estrogen than other males, or the usual level for males?
Sfiso can try again.
Yes, Fiso, please.
I think it's the I in LGBTIQ, the intersex.
That's definitely correct. Thank you, Sfiso. Yes, so there are 3 sexes. So it's male, female, and intersex, right? But in most instances, we use male and female only, especially when you are filling out a form or when you are filling out, when you are introducing yourself and people want to know your sex. So people would only have the option of M and F. It's something that we've also been challenging with the Department of Home Affairs to look into, especially with the new smart ID cards, right? So it's the I in the LGBTIQ, which is for intersex. And people who are born intersex are people who have a different chromosome lineup in their bodies. And according to research where we are now, there are about 26 different types of intersex bodies so in the world. So by that, I mean, not all intersex people would be the same. So some intersex people would be born with a vulva and have more testosterone than other females. Some would be born with genitalia that is a bit unclear. So they would be intersex and they would have a vulva, but with an elongated clitoris. So the clitoris will be a bit longer than in other females or in the usual length for a clitoris in most females. So for some people, it might be a vulva again that looks like the labia on the sides are growing into testicles or into testes. So it's very different. So like I said, there are 26 different types of intersex bodies. So it's not always the same kind of intersex person. And maybe before I move, I'll give an example with a public figure, Caster. It's not an example that I like to use, but just to make it clear, because we are on a Zoom call and some people might not understand it. So Caster, for example, Caster Semenya, the athlete, she was born female with a vulva, but as she grew up, she began to go into athletics, Olympics, and there were tests run on her which found that she has higher testosterone than most females, or the usual level that they find in most females. So that's something also that makes her intersex. So you can also hear with her voice, which is a bit deeper, with her muscle tone, with a bit of structure, with her bodily structure and other features on her that might make her look like somebody who has higher testosterone than most females. Okay, so is everyone still with me in terms of sex characteristics? Is everyone clear? Are there any questions at this point? Okay, looks like everyone is clear. So
there is a question, sorry, Lorato, in the chat,
okay.
which I'm not sure if it was answered in the end, but what is the difference between intersex and a hermaphrodite?
Aha, good question. Thank you so much for that question. So a hermaphrodite is usually a term used for plants. It's a self-reproducing plant. So the term hermaphrodite is a little bit offensive for most intersex people. So they do not want or prefer people to call them hermaphrodites. They might prefer the term intersex, which is a bit more dignified or a bit more socially accepted. Thank you so much for that question. Yeah, because I don't have my chats open here, so I can't see it. Okay, thanks, Robin. Zoe, was that the only question?
Yes, for now.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'll just share this here. So you don't have to take down most notes or take the slides. Take what's on the slide. You can just get the slides maybe at a later stage from Zoe, because it might be a bit too much for you to capture at the moment. Okay, so yeah, just to wrap it up, sex characteristics are mainly what you're born with, and it's also your chromosomes, your hormones, the chemicals that make up your body on the inside, basically. So you're either born male or female, or intersex, and then lastly, there are about 0.05 to 1.7% of the population that is identified as intersex. But also important and interesting to note is that some people might be intersex and not know it. Some people might be intersex and live the rest of their lives without ever finding out that they're intersex. So it really varies from person to person, like I said. At the moment, there are about 26 different types of intersex bodies. A story that I'll quickly share before we move on to gender is there was a video I saw of an intersex person who shared their story. So she identifies as female. She was born with a vulva. She has breasts. She's got all the features that women typically have. And she said that she grew up not experiencing a menstrual cycle, or what we call a period, and until she was about 20. And then she decided to go and see her doctor at that point. And they ran some tests, and the doctor initially just said, well, some women are late, so it's okay. You might be a little bit delayed, so give it another year or so and then come back. When she went back, they ran more tests. After running more tests, they actually found out and realized that she actually has testes in the place of her where you would usually find your fallopian tubes. So ovaries, sorry. So where the fallopian tubes end by the ovaries, she didn't have any ovaries. She instead has testes. So they realized that she was intersex, meaning that she would not be able to have children of her own. She was saying how that it was sad for her to realize that, but also she was happy to finally understand what could be the cause of her not experiencing certain things that other women might be experiencing, like, for example, going on her period. So she found out at the age of 21, almost going at 22, that she was intersex. So like I said, some people might never find out. Some people might know at a very later stage that they might be intersex. Okay. All right. If there are no more questions, then we will move to gender. But before that, I realized that I put this image here yesterday because I thought it might be interesting. An interesting fact to share is that so the clitoris and the penis are actually built from the same structure, meaning that they're actually exactly the same. The only difference between a clitoris and a penis is that one is growing outside and then the other one grows inward, right? So when we are all conceived in the womb, in the first 3 months, we are scientifically, it has been proven that we are all females at first, because we all start out as females, and then for those who born males, then the penis starts to develop after 4 months. So if somebody who's pregnant goes for a scan and asks to check the sex of the baby before 4 months, they'll say, no, we can't really tell you at this stage, we don't know. That's because we all start out as females. So the penis is basically an elongated clit in males. So if you look at the image on your right, the penis, it just shows that what happens is that the parts on the inside start to close up, but in somebody who is female, it will remain open on the inside. But for males, it closes up. And the purple part, I think that's the shaft. No, sorry, not the shaft. The scientific term escapes me, but that part then connects to the testes of a male person. So this would be maybe, if you've ever wondered and if you're curious to know why males have nipples too, this is the reason why. We all start out as females in the first 3 months of conception. And then if one is male, then the XY chromosome kicks in after 4 months. And then the penis starts to develop. The clit basically starts to grow outward. And then the rest of the vulva or vagina will remain on the inside. So this is the reason why some people are born intersex again, because that development might have never gone full cycle in some people. So some people might be intersex because that clit, while it was trying to elongate or become a full penis, that process didn't complete. So some people then are born intersex because of that. And then, so lastly, maybe something to share about intersex people. I think someone might actually have this question at a later stage, so I'll answer it now. People who are born intersex don't always want to have surgery or remove or change something. But at times we find that a lot of parents make the mistake of wanting to construct a penis or a vagina for their children who are born intersex. And this is something that as activists we've been fighting against for a very long time. We are trying to get government to understand that that can have horrible side effects on that individual if you operate and choose a sex for them, because you don't know what's going to be on their inside, how they will grow, what will develop on the inside, what they will have. So that might not match what they want or what they have. So the best thing to do is just to wait for that person to be of consenting age, which is about 18, to see what gender they might want to have and for them to choose what gender they might want to have for themselves. Okay.